Why do we need to learn Linux? Well, you don't have to, but some of the statistics may make you think twice. Most smartphones are Android-based, which uses the Linux kernel. And Linux is used in SpaceX. And 90% of Hollywood special effects rely on Linux. Well, I didn't know that. Linux stands behind the top 500 fastest supercomputers in the world. If you are a researcher, you may need to learn Linux. 90% of cloud infrastructure operates on Linux, and 96% of top 1 million web servers are running Linux. If you are a developer, you may need to learn Linux. This doesn't mean that you need to wipe out your Windows from your laptop and install Linux instead. There are multiple ways to establish a Linux environment inside Windows. The first is to run Linux as a guest OS inside Windows. However, it is very slow to boot a generic Linux virtual machine inside Windows. Windows Subsystem for Linux, or WSL in short, utilizes a lightweight virtual machine technology to solve this problem. It can run almost as fast as a real Linux machine. It takes only 1 second to boot WSL2 on your Windows laptop. Another option is to use Linux as a container. From an end user point of view, a container is a lot like a virtual machine, but in general much smaller in size and hence much easier to share with other people. If someone has installed a web server inside a Linux container, you can just download and run it in your laptop to have a local web server without going through the hassle to set up one by yourself. Docker Desktop is such a program that allows you to do that in your laptop. It provides the Docker command, which can be used to pull Linux container images from the cloud and run them in your laptop. The third choice is to install Cygwin, a program that allows you to install and run a huge number of Linux programs on Windows. It does so through a single dynamically linked library to facilitate the communication between those Linux programs and your Windows. It is fast and integrated well with your Windows. You can see your Windows files in a Cygwin terminal and open them using Windows programs. It is my personal favorite. It is so useful that 3 other programs built on top of it for specific tasks. MobileXterm allows you to display Linux graphic programs on your Windows desktop. MSys2 provides a Linux-like environment to develop Windows software. Git for Windows provides you the standard way to version control your program. All of them provide you a nice terminal out of the box where you can practice your Linux command line skills. If all you need is a few simple Linux commands to get around your Windows PC, you can simply use PowerShell. That is included in every Windows machine nowadays. It understands a limited number of Linux-like commands like cat, cd, and ls, so on and so forth. If you get confused with so many options, here's my recommendation. Use Docker Desktop to get access to various Linux flavors. On Windows, use PowerShell to control your Linux container through command line, and MobileXterm to display Linux graphics. On Mac, use its default terminal to control your Linux container through the command line, and Xcores to display Linux graphics.